Okay, it is 7:30. I would like to call the March 27, 2025 meeting of the Dartmouth Board of Public Works to order. This meeting is being held virtually and is being recorded. And we will take any actions by roll call. So first, our roll call of members present. Mr. Gagne,
Present.
Mr. Almy, the chair, is present. We have with us members of the Public Works Department's board, public professional staff, and I see some members of the public. I'd like to do a little bit of agenda management here up front. We have listed on our agenda an executive session. With respect to the people who may be interested in other issues, I'd like to ask Mike your indulgence and move that to the end if we could. That's all right with you?
I would so move. The only thing is, Rob, I think you need to read that disclosure statement that at the beginning of the meeting. It's a open meeting. Isn't Tim there open meeting disclosure requirement?
Or executive session?
Well,
No,
regular meeting, and then we're going to go to executive session. But I think Rob has to read the open meeting disclosure.
yeah, this meeting is being held virtually, is being recorded. And anyone who wishes to provide testimony can so indicate.
All right. So I would make the motion that the Board of Public Works convenes into executive session and then to return into open session.
Okay, and we'll do that at the end of the agenda.
Okay.
All right. With that, our first order of business is to approve and accept warrants. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So I have a motion to approve and accept the warrants for the bills payable period ending March 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th, 2025. The chair seconds that motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Gagne votes yes. The chair votes yes. Next item is to approve and accept the payrolls for the week ending March 1st, 8th, 15th, and 27th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve and accept the payrolls by Mr. Gagne. The chair seconds. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Gagne votes yes. Chair votes yes. The next item is to approve and accept meeting minutes for the following meeting date, February 27th, 2025. Do I have any comments on the minutes?
No comment.
I have no comments. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Motion to accept meeting minutes for February 27th, 2025 by Mr. Gagne. Chair seconds the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Meeting minutes are approved. Okay, we're going to come now to old business. Old business includes the tree bylaw. I've had a request by a member of the tree committee to move that to the end of old business. One of the tree committee members is tied up for a little while and may be in a better position to join us after we go through the other two items in old business. So I'd like to move then to old business B, update of the comprehensive wastewater management plan. Tim?
So currently, the board has a copy of the draft comprehensive wastewater management plan request for proposal. And it has been updated based on our review and comments So once the board makes comments, we will also revise that draft. And we've also forwarded the draft to DEP for comments and suggestions. So once we have their comments and suggestions, we will also update that document and submit it to the board for review for the final version.
Mr. Gagne, have you had a chance to look at this?
I've started to look at it. I'd be very interested, since that is Ron's background, what comments Ron would have. And I think, you know, if we would have a chance to hear what some of his thoughts are, having done that work for the city for so long, I think it would be integral to, you know, finalize in our comments, at least mine. Thank you.
Tim, could you give us a little insight as to what kind of a schedule you think you want to be on?
You know, this is, you know, the beginning of the, you know, wastewater management plan, and hopefully we'll get, you know, out of this recommendations for, you know, future updates for our wastewater treatment facility. So, you know, it is a pertinent issue, and we'd love to get it moving as quickly as possible. So hopefully if we can meet, you know, to discuss, so I want to create a committee to discuss the draft as well, and then prior to proposing it, and then once we receive proposals, that committee will review the proposals as well and recommend the award to the board.
So our next meeting is in a month.
Correct.
And that would put any further discussion with Mr. LaBelle into a regular meeting. Tim, do you see any value in trying to set a time between now and our next meeting for a special discussion of the CWMP that might include some members of town committees who would take a special interest in this, say Health Department or Waterways?
Absolutely, and we have a water quality committee meeting coming up, and I think this will be, you know, good to discuss in this atmosphere as well.
Great, great.
All right, so then could you please work with the members of the board, in particular, Mr. LaBelle, to give him time to look this over, and then suggest some times when we could have a discussion that would be basically a special meeting of this board, and it would focus on the CWMP. It doesn't have to be 7:30 in the morning. We could pick a different time if that works for everybody.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any other, now, one other thing, the meeting of the town's water quality committee is next week on the 4th, if I remember. Are you comfortable releasing draft staff work to that committee, or providing some kind of a discussion to them on relatively short notice as to the scope of this plan, or would you prefer that at that meeting to talk about process?
I think process is probably better discussed at this point. I was planning to reach out to the assistant town administrator, who's the CFO and the town administrator, and also discuss that, you know, whether just discussing process or the actual document, you know, because they're, you know, it's a large committee, and it's not all town agencies on that committee.
Okay, yeah, I agree, and I think that working with the town administration to have them appreciate this board having a special meeting to discuss the scope of that subsequent to the broader public, the broader water quality meeting would be
Correct.
helpful, so they can see the whole thing and how it fits together.
I agree.
All right. So you'll come back with us to set the date for that subsequent meeting?
Yes, I will.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Gagne, any other comments?
No, I think you've outlined a good plan. Thank you.
Okay. Next item is the CIP presentation, which I will note was a large document to download.
That was just the PDF version. We couldn't send the presentation version.
I appreciate the quality of both the graphics and the photographs.
All right.
Okay. So do you want to give an introduction and let's see where we go with this?
Okay, so here we are, FY 26, Town Dartmouth DPW Capital Improvement. This was also presented, I presented this to the Capital Improvement Committee yesterday morning. And it took a little over an hour and a half, so we'll try to speed this one up and expedite through. Okay, can you see that? Does that work?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, what we do, policy, budget, manage waste collection, etc. In the administration, engineering, design and construct roads. Engineering also, inspect all utilities. And designs utilities, transportation, road work, network, design studies, signs, maintain roads, maintain our fleets, water pollution control, and water sewer collection, as well as drinking water treatment and distribution. Our admin capital improvement plan. So basically, I'll go over the FY 26 plan. As future plans may change. So we have a request for $150,000 for Dartmouth Street for the 50%, 25 to 50% design. $250,000 for a sewer and stormwater asset management, and $150,000 for the Crossroad Phase 2 design. Here we have Dartmouth Street, Howland Street to Middle Street. The original scope included Prospect Street from Middle Street to Elm Street, but we have requested that we remove this section from the scope, as Mass DOT had had a lot of comments and issues with the right of way and trying to fit everything that's within their regulations, like shade use paths and with the walkways and bicycle lanes. So we feel that we could handle the construction of Prospect Street on our own, where if we finalize the design for Dartmouth Street and allow Mass DOT to construct that section. Here's some of our alternative designs for the intersection of Dartmouth Street, Middle Street, and Prospect Street. The top left was our original design with a roundabout, which we thought worked well. Unfortunately, Mass DOT didn't feel that it'd work well because of the size being too small, so they requested an alternative design, which is the lower left, with bringing Prospect Street in at a 90 degrees to Dartmouth Street. I think Mass DOT likes this better, but I feel that it's an awkward. It makes the intersection even more awkward. So that'll go move forward with this amendment to the contract for the next phase. And this takes us through all the way down Dartmouth Street, through Rockland Street, Meadow Street, and to Holland Street. And it includes walkways, possible shade use path, and bicycle lanes in reconstruction of the road, new curbing. Next, we have our sewer and stormwater asset management. So we're 90% complete on our water So if you look on the right-hand side of the screen is it's our 2011 master water plan. We just received our new master water plan, but it's not complete. It's about 90%. So they're working on revisions. Once it's complete, I'll submit a copy to the board, and it includes interactive GIS capabilities as well. So on the left, we have our master sewer plan from 2012. So this is our next phase that we're looking to move forward and update this plan, as well as an interactive GIS module, so we can use it out in the field on iPads, and we can use it in the office, as well as our stormwater. So our stormwater, we're looking to do the same thing, create an interactive GIS plan for efficiency and field work. If you look here on the left, this is part of our actual GIS interactive program for the water. So if you click on any of these sections of water, it'll bring up water main plans. You can get down to the street level and property level, and access residential connections and commercial connections to water services as well. Hydrant information, and the treatment plants are located there. And there's on the right, it's just a general picture of an iPad where our field crews can go out in the field and use this mapping. And then crossroad improvements, design phase 2. So we had submitted 25% designs working with VHB for phase 1, which is from basically the fire station near Vincent Street to the assisted living Autumn Glen, right near the electrical substation. This was accepted by MassDOT, and we held a public hearing in November, with some comments from residents and other agencies in town. So MassDOT's responding to those comments, and we're looking forward to move forward to the 75% design for that, and expedite this project. It includes shade use path, sidewalks on both sides of the street, reconstruction of the roadway, and stormwater design and construction as well. Phase 2 will eventually take us from the project limits of phase 1 all the way to Crossroad, and we broke this up in phases so the cost is more feasible, and it could hopefully program these projects a little earlier in the transportation improvement program through MassDOT, where if this was one large phase with a high cost, it's tougher to fund. Here we go. So here's what we have. We submitted the section of Crossroad from Vincent Street, or just south of Vincent, to Laska Pool Street on Crossroad. This is a section coming into this curve near Pine Top Lane where you have some stormwater issues currently. So there'll be some significant stormwater design in this area. And then it'll end just northeast of Pine Top Lane. Any comments, questions on the admin?
I remember, Tim, that there was some discussion about whether and how to move power poles because of either bike lane or walking paths.
Yes.
Has that been resolved?
Yeah. So the Mass DOT will work with the utilities to relocate their electric poles, and you see a lot of these the dashed red lines show the utility poles and the relocation of them. So they are on board with it. It's a large expense for the project, where there were comments on possibly moving the shared use path to the opposite side of the road. But our design consultant and Mass DOT don't think that's suitable, as the there's a lot of use on the north side of the road, northwest side of the road, where you have the school, you have the library, Walmart. So they wanted to keep that on that side of the road. So that's what they're moving forward with. The existing project limits have been shortened a little due to a main transformer pole where all the utility lines come together in front of the substation for Eversource on Crossroads, so that the limits have been shortened a little to not move that pole at this time. But in the future, any future phases, this will have to move, which is going to add a big expense to the project as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, engineering, just replacing a pickup truck. But once our fleet truck hit about 10 years old, we like to upgrade them and move the existing trucks to other departments. The vehicle. All right.
Tim, does this assume moving these vehicles when they're purchased to make them electrical vehicles? Because I know the state's pushing that, right?
They are, and they're really pushing the heavy duty trucks and diesel trucks. So through their diesel emissions reduction act, so they're really focused on the heavy duty diesel vehicles and emissions, where that's smaller gas vehicles. It'd be nice if we're gonna do that and add it to the fleet, we'd have to also upgrade our chargers and bring on electric medium duty vehicles into our fleet. But they're hard to come by. They're expensive and they're not readily available. So in our highway capital, we have requested our annual $1 million for road maintenance. And as you know, this isn't going as far as it used to go, as we had a 60% increase on asphalt last year. So that cuts into that 1 million and kind of reduces the amount of roadway and road work that we can do. So in future years, we have bumped that up to 1,250,000 to try to keep the amount of roads that we've been working on equitable. We'll also ask for a 34,400 GVW truck with a plow and sander. 6,800 GVW 4x4 pickup with a truck and plow. That's going to change. It's not going to have a plow that's a half-ton pickup. So that'll reduce the cost there. A Ford F550 4x4 dump wood plow. And then next one, the Freightliner 26,000 GVW plow truck. That's the M2 from Freightliner, in that being 26,000 GVW puts it under the CDL requirement. So this truck can actually handle a 9-foot plow, not a 10-foot plow as our larger trucks, but we can do the same amount of work with this truck, and we don't need a CDL driver to operate it. Which we have, we're still short about 6 CDL drivers in the DPW. So I think moving towards these vehicles is a good idea, and we have one on order that hasn't been delivered yet, so we're anxious to get that truck in. Next is Robert Street, Slocum Road to Dead End reconstruction, Edgeworth Street, Dartmouth to Howland Street, Tremont Street, Howland to Laurel Lane, Arch Street, Dartmouth to Howland, and a stormwater project on a treatment project on Water Street, Gladys and Day, and then granite curb request for Water Street, Hill Street, Seawood, and Prospect. So that typical road maintenance, some bottom left, you see our annual road maintenance crack sealing. On the right, we had a full depth reconstruction with new sidewalks and curbing. And also, our crews out with our milling on our Bobcat and patching potholes. You might see that happening a lot these days because after this winter, we've had a lot of potholes, a lot of blowouts. So our crews have been out daily patching roads. This is our 1994 Kodiak 34,400 GVW truck and sander we're looking to replace with a new one. It's an old 1999 Ford F550 dump that we're looking to replace with a new dump truck. And this is at 26,000 GVW Freightliner M2. It's a 10-wheeler. It looks similar to the larger heavier duty trucks, but it doesn't require a CDL to operate.
So Tim, if anybody asks us, we're replacing vehicles, trucks that are 25 to 30 years old. Have I got
Yes.
that right? Okay.
Yes. And quite a few years ago, there was a study done in town, and our fleet at that time was older, and we had a lot of maintenance, repairs, and breakdowns, and it was recommended that we start updating our fleet. So for many years we've been going through our fleet and trying to update our older vehicles, and then we handled auctioning off any of those old vehicles for sale and after we replace them. Here we go, Robert Street. So you see the extent from Slocum Road to the dead end, and this is the existing kind of condition of Robert Street. We've been crack sealing it. The curb has hardly any reveal due to I think multiple overlays through the years, and the sidewalks are in poor condition. So anytime we reconstruct a road, and there are sidewalks, we do have to bring the sidewalks up to ADA compliance. So this includes, all that work as well. New projects in the Bliss Corner area. This is Edgeworth Street, Tremont Street, and Arch Street improvements. We're looking to reconstruct some sidewalks, add sidewalks and curbing, and reconstruct the roadways. These are the existing conditions of those three streets. It's Edgeworth on the top left. Eversource has gone, through there and replaced their main, as well as on Arch Street. And we do get cost sharing from Eversource when they do replace their main. So we do have some Eversource money to use on the reconstruction of these roads as well. Water Street, stormwater, PMP. So we're looking to upgrade the stormwater with a retrofit for treatment in our existing stormwater system, so we can treat some of the runoff before it goes out to the Pontiac Bay. Also, Day Street, Gladys Street, the same thing. Try to capture some of that stormwater and treat it before it's discharged. Flag Swamp Road, we had improved a good portion of Flag Swamp Road with some stormwater, and we're looking to do the rest of Flag Swamp Road. It's narrow, and it's kind of constrictive over here, but we can't do much because the cranberry bogs are on the right of that guardrail, and the property line is close to the edge of the road on the left side, so there's not much we can do for road width, but we do want to reconstruct that and prior to that add some stormwater. And this is a request for granite curbing installation on Water, Seawood, Hill, and Prospect, similar to what we have on Elm Street. That's a picture of Elm Street where we show the chamfered edge mountable granite curb. Also some Hicksville Road stormwater improvements we're looking at. We have survey of pretty much from the river to Crossroad, and we reconstructed from North Hicksville Road to the river. So we're just looking to improve stormwater in the roadway surface from the river south down to a Crossroad. These are pictures of our Bliss Corner Phase 4 improvements. This is Ashley Street, Bolton Road, St. John, and the other section of Bolton. You can see the existing conditions and for sidewalk, curbing, and road conditions. And here we have some improved conditions. These projects have been completed. New sidewalks, curbing, street trees, some grass strips, and reconstructed roadways. On the right, we have St. John. On the left, we have Bolton, Ashley. Couple more streets. So this is all completed last year, and great improvements. Other in the fall, we were approved to purchase a new VAC-on truck. So this is the new VAC-on truck on the left, and we're also approved for a new 2025 Vermeer chipper for our tree crew. So there we have it. This is our new 34,400 GVW Freightliner sander with the plow. We also brought this Derek Martin, the Assistant Superintendent of Highway, and I spoke at Diamond Boat a few weeks ago to students about, going for CDL licenses and hoisting licenses and water and sewer licenses, and we brought this truck for them to look at, sit in, honk the horn, and they were impressed. I was impressed riding in it. It's a great truck. We had also completed a project at the highway garage, the old highway garage, where the heating system was over 50 years old, and the old furnace had blown a hole in it. So we needed an emergency replacement. It was approved from the town through an article. So on the bottom left, you see the new heating units that replace the top left heating units, and then we have our new propane fired efficiency boiler there in the middle of your screen, which replaced the old boiler unit. And the old boiler unit was oil fired, so we're replacing our existing propane tank with a larger propane tank as well. This is our solid waste and recycling capital improvement plan. So Rob, this goes towards your question on electric vehicles. We have here an $885,000 request for an electric recycling truck, plus improvements to the DPW yard to add charges and increase and install the electric service to service those charges, as well as a third item to refurbish an existing recycling truck at $400,000. So, due to the state requirements, solid waste and recycling vehicles are not exempt from their diesel emissions plan, where plow vehicles and emergency vehicles are. So it starts at the manufacturer, where the manufacturer is restricted from selling diesel vehicles until they sell a number of electric vehicles. So that gets passed to the dealer and passed to the consumer. If we buy electric vehicles, we'll be able to get credits towards purchasing diesel vehicles. So on the left, we have a brand new Mack electric recycling vehicle to replace our 2014 Mack recycling vehicle with 114,000 miles on it. Here we have the charger upgrades, or installation. So the big expense to install these chargers, because it's not just a level 2 charger that most normal, medium weight vehicles will use. So we really need level 3 chargers to charge these large trucks and batteries. So, talking with our energy coordinator, she estimates about 300 to 400,000 to get one of these installed, which is insane. And that includes the service. So I've been working on an application for a Diesel Emissions Reduction Act grant, where they'll pay 45%, and we'll pay 55% of a vehicle. And every vehicle that is awarded through that grant, that you can also apply for a single charger. That does not include any electrical service upgrades. And in that match is 70% ours and 30% from the state. And the kind of issue that goes along with that is any vehicles that we replace with this grant for an electric vehicle, we have to destroy an existing diesel vehicle, including destroy the engine, and they want to see proof of that. And also, to go on to the installation of the service, any of these charges have to be on a separate meter. They can't run off our existing meter, because Eversource charges a tariff for servicing electric vehicles, especially heavy duty vehicles, versus your normal electric service. So the charge is greater for charging electric vehicles than our normal service. So you have to split it to a separate meter as well. So we'll be working on that going forward.
Tim, I got a couple of questions. One is, do any of our facilities, or I'll put it this way. Does the area that you think you want to put the level 1 chargers in, is it now served by 440 volt system?
I believe it is.
Okay. And the second is, will Eversource charge us what's known in the agricultural business as a startup charge? In other words, there's when you start a heavy electrical demand, there's a peak that occurs, and then there's a steadier demand, and that peak drives the development of the distribution system.
Yes. Yep.
And so is the tariff designed to capture that as well? I mean, these are details. You and I can talk about that later.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I'm scheduling a meeting with a charger company, as well as our energy coordinator. So we're trying to get a meeting scheduled sometime next week. So these questions will be asked.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting switch over. Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
You're welcome. And then this is our other option, is to refurbish our existing vehicles. So, we're talking about, the suspension, some chassis work, replacing or refurbishing the arms, the hydraulics, transmission, engine. So basically rebuilding our existing trucks so they can continue to hopefully function for another 10 years. Where you can purchase and you can register a vehicle that has over, I think, 7,000 miles on it through this program, because it's not considered new. But you can't register a new diesel vehicle until you have the credits from purchasing an electric vehicle. But so refurbishing an existing vehicle might be a good option, because you're not going to be able to find vehicles with 7,000 miles on them, because nobody's going to be getting rid of them.
And on the issue of refurbishment, have you gotten any estimated costs for that?
I think that's a kind of a broad estimate around the $400,000 range. But
yeah,
if we do some of the work ourselves, and we have some great mechanics, then it should reduce that cost.
in Mattapoisett, we did that with one of the fire trucks, because fire trucks now are over $1 million. And looking at your numbers here, between what that the electric packer or recycler is gonna cost and hookups, you're talking over $1 million, which is
Absolutely.
a substantial hit
Yeah.
to a capital plan.
Yeah. I think
Very good luck with it. The truck came back. It was awesome.
that's great. That's great news, because I think that's probably a good avenue to go towards. And I think, I think a better route for the state, if they wanted to go towards, requirement is to first work on charging systems, right? First work on the electrical upgrades and charges to get these, departments ready to accept electrical vehicles, so it's not all happening at once, but I think it was kind of rushed. So, and then with these grants, a lot of these grants, like the DARA grant, I think it's federally funded. So, we're not even sure that money is going to be available even once we apply for it. If we commit to purchasing vehicles and apply for this grant with hopes of getting funded, in the end, the money might not be available, to the administration, what's going on. So a lot of questions, a lot of up in the air. Moving on, construction division capital improvement plan. So this includes a large 66,000 pound GVW dump truck with a plow, a Cat 93 wheeled front end loader, and an electric rack body truck with lift gate. So we'll get back to that rack body truck, but here we have we're trying to replace this existing dump truck, again 1994, 10-wheel dump. Only has 60,000 miles, but it's been in town for quite a while. Front end loader, we have a 2014 with 6,200 hours we're looking to upgrade. And then the electric rack body. So this truck comes in, I'll go back to the pricing, right? So we have an estimate for 418,000 versus the 885,000 for a recycling or a solid waste vehicle. And, one of the other concerns with the electric solid waste and recycling vehicles is the range, right? So Dartmouth's a large town, so these are running all day, and our recycling trucks at the end of the day don't stop. They have to drive to Brockton to unload. So do these vehicles, are they going to have the range to do this? So you might have to double up on these vehicles as well. And when I mentioned, some manufacturer credits, so if we purchase like a truck like this rack body, which won't be traveling the same amount of miles daily as a solid waste and recycling, we use it for construction to bring materials. We use it for we do use it for cart distribution for our recycling program, as well as our picking up items from people for large bulky item pickup for our transfer station. So it stays in town. It's not going to go out of town to dump anything, and it doesn't need the range that our solid waste and recycling vehicles, but it'll still get us some credits to purchase other diesel vehicles and register them. So that's another option that we're looking at. Water pollution control capital improvement plan. So we have our aeration program project, 5.2 million. Water pollution control upgrade evaluation, 500,000. II remediation, 250,000. Preliminary treatment barns green grit removal rebuild project. Compost overhead door project. Flow meter and chart recorder for our pump station upgrade. Skater improvements, and new Ford F-150 or half-ton pickup. So here we have our aeration project, upgrade project, where we're looking to upgrade the aeration including the aeration pumps, valves, piping, in the tanks. And one tank we're looking to change over from aeration to a nitrogen removal tank. These are the plans from CDM Smith. This project's at 100% design, and originally it was estimated around 2 million, and now it's being estimated at 6 million. So we're looking at borrowing SRF funds for this project to move it forward. Again, this project, we really need this project to, to help with our BOD, and with the new fine bubble aeration, it'll improve the, the aeration, and also it'd be a lot more efficient from what we have now. This is existing. On the bottom left, you see one of our empty aeration tanks with broken diffusers that we're gonna repair. We noticed some structural questions on the tank, so it hasn't been used. So this will be part of the project. On top left, you see one of the aeration tanks functioning, and top right is a couple of those are our aeration pumps that we'll be replacing as well. So part of the evaluation, we want to evaluate our complete treatment facility and our collection system. One question is what's going to happen with compost down the road. Currently we compost in this building here, and with an upgrade, we may want to relocate this building, and in the leaf and brush area drop off, so we can process all that outside and create more capacity for wastewater in this area. So there are a lot of questions on what direction we should go with the upgrade. Our typical II infiltration and inflow remediation. These are some crews working on manhole upgrades, bringing them above grade, so they're not below grade, taking on any stormwater, and sealing them. We've been working with Hazen and Sawyer on our II program, and we had a large area evaluated in the past year and a half, and this year we're looking at narrowing it down to some higher problematic areas and focus on these areas to get recommendations to mediate any II to reduce the flow into our facility. This is a preliminary treatment bar and screen grit removal. So there are two units that need to be refurbished. So it's about 225,000 we have, and we're looking to get this project underway. Our compost facility has a couple broken doors, garage doors, one stuck open. So we've received some odor control on some odor complaints from local residents, and this could be one of the causes, because it emits a lot of odor where it's not going out the ventilation into the biofilter. It's just emitting into the air. Flow meters and chart readers, upgrades at all of our pump stations. And always looking at SCADA upgrades. On the left, we have the SCADA components in the open cabinet, and on the laptops, as well as on the main screen, where they can control, and they can get data, and they can control all the components. And they upgraded of a new pickup truck. So here are some completed projects. These projects were completed and funded through ARPA. So we actually purchased 3 compost blowers for our ventilation in our compost building, and 1 filter feed pump. And these are the compost blowers getting installed a couple weeks ago. And this is the biofilter area as well, below where they're installing this. And we're looking at replacing, we had awarded the biofilter reconstruction project a couple months ago, and we're looking to start that project on April 7th. So it's good that the blowers are coming in, they're getting installed before this project, and this also included the cost of upgrading 3 VFDs for these blowers, so they'll be more efficient, and I think it'll be good in the long run. Also, we were approved through Opera to upgrade our Vermeer grinder, that we grind all the chips that we mix with the compost. So we upgraded the catalyst component and the exhaust that was giving us problems. And this equipment, so it's kind of a Band-Aid for this unit. So we will be looking to replace this grinder in the next couple of years as well. On the right, we have a new Kubota. This Kubota spends a lot of time in the compost building where it's very corrosive atmosphere. So they only last about 5 years working in that facility. So we were approved to purchase this in the fall, and here's a new unit. Also through APA funding, Bristol County APA, they approved the project. I think it was over $680,000 to reconstruct both of our clam presses, our filter presses in the compost building, which dehydrates the solids from the facility. So these are the rebuilt units. Good project, and they were in pretty rough shape. And this is we also were awarded, I think, over $600,000 to upgrade our UV bulbs. So this in the ballast. So this is the start of that project. Another approved project through Bristol County APA was the improvements to 4 of our pump stations, adding new generators. These pump stations have kicker motors that are attached to one pump. So if that pump fails, we don't have backup for the other pump. So these generators will run the entire station in both pumps. So this project was awarded, and it's currently underway. And now lastly, our water and sewer capital. So we have PFAS treatment and design, filter valve replacement at $299, Fons Connor pump station upgrades with the centrifugal pump rebuild, 579 Old Westport Road water treatment facility construction admin services, Route 6 water main replacement from Fons Connor to Hathaway Road, half-ton pickup, and an F550 dump body with a plow. So you all know, about the PFAS and issues. So we're currently working with Weston and Sampson to evaluate our system, and part of that program included sampling. We awarded that to Microbac. So we have the sampling going through Microbac, and that was actually funded through APA, where the Weston and Sampson the study was, we had funded that through an article. But we also recently received a grant award for this as well. Filter valve replacement in 299 Chase Road treatment facility. We're looking at replacing the number of these valves that aren't functioning. So anything that can be rebuilt will be rebuilt, but anything that needs to be replaced will be replaced. This is our Fons Connor Road pump station centrifugal pump. We're looking at rebuilding this pump. 579 Old Westport Road water treatment project. So this includes the construction of pump house, clear well, and 4-log extended contact pipe for improved water quality and resiliency. So we're looking at, so we had approved for a phased admin construction services through Weston and Sampson. Weston and Sampson completed the design for this project, and we're looking for the additional funding to continue with the admin services. Here we have some pictures of the project that's commencing. This is the first out of the construction of the pump house on the rear of 579 Westport Road. And just recently, they also cut through the building for the access door. and then you have the pipes that'll go out to the clear well. Here we have the Route 6 12-inch ductile iron water main replacement. We currently have a 10-inch cast iron water main in Route 6, and with the state moving with the TIP program on the reconstruction of this section of the corridor, we're looking at replacing the water main and upgrading it to a larger size. There are sections that will be replaced by Mass DOT due to the construction, like they are planning to remove and replace the existing bridge culvert across the Pascomansit. So that will include utility replacements at that location. That's been a part of the delay, is designing that bridge to include a lot of the utilities, including Eversource utilities and town utilities. So this shows some of the design from Fons Corner through Tucker Road. And they also one of the delays was Mass DOT decided to, in the beginning of the project, to remove the entire concrete deck of this section of the corridor. So that's going to be that was a large change order and timely for construction. But I think once they remove that concrete deck, it'll be much easier to replace any of the utilities. And the replacement of a half-ton pickup. This is an old 2015 Ford F-150 with 144,000 miles. And replace of the utility vehicle with an old 2006 Ford F-350 with 165,000 miles with a new dump truck. And that concludes the presentation. Rob, I think you're on mute.
Okay, very, very thorough presentation. On the debt service that's paid by Water and Sewer Enterprise, can we get a copy of what the principal and interest payments were on
Sure.
debt service 10 years, and then also get a copy of what the debt schedule for Water and Sewer Enterprise looks going forward?
Yes.
I think it'd be very helpful for us to sort of dive into that and see where we stand and what we paid and what we're expecting us to pay going forward out of Water and Sewer Enterprise.
Sure.
Thanks.
I can get to that, and I'll also get you a copy. So we also worked through a rate study for water and sewer, which included a lot of that as well. So I can get you that in our 10-year capital plan.
Great. Excellent. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
No.
Tim, I have no other questions for now.
Okay.
So let's, we'll move now to the discussion of the tree bylaw.
Yeah, it looks like Andrea Langhauser has joined us. So,
All right.
and Ann Parson is also here. And from the tree committee and Andrea from the subcommittee from the Dartmouth Tree Committee. They had presented previously to the board on a proposed tree bylaw, and they've been moving throughout town agencies. And we had submitted comments in the past, and the planning board has recently submitted some recommendations, comments, and concerns. So we're looking to hear those comments and any proposed revisions to the bylaw. Ann or Andrea?
Sure. I'll start, and Andrea can add to what I'm going to say. As you mentioned, Tim, we submitted, this is a short status report. We submitted the draft of the bylaw to the planning board. They offered their support of the concept. They did ask about an expansion of setback tree section to include more about implementation. And Andrea and I have talked about this. Our feeling is that implementation details are going to be worked out in a separate manual. The implementation of a setback tree There are two ways setback trees are going to happen. Either, Tim, you'll be deciding with whatever budget you have to put a setback tree in on 20 feet back, in which case you will need that person's consent. And the other way is that if we get the adopted tree program in place, a resident will be asking for a setback tree, which is slightly different. They also will have to obviously provide consent, but they're more in the position of definitely having to water that tree, say, for 2 years and take care of that tree. In the first case, it would be Tim probably taking care of the setback tree. So, how much we want to get into those details within the bylaw, I'm not sure we do. Andrea, do you want to say something?
Sure, it's Andrea Langhauser, Dartmouth Tree Committee bylaw, speaking from the side of the road. I hope you can hear me and the traffic isn't too bad. We provided the DPW, the Board of Public Works, with a summary of the tree bylaw, and the actual language of the draft bylaw we're proposing as a town meeting warrant article. That was submitted for spring town meeting. The town council has recommended that it be deferred to the fall town meeting, so he'll have a greater period of time to review the bylaw. This is the language that we're suggesting. And we brought that forward to the planning board, who were very supportive of the language. They asked only that we expand on the setback tree provision of the bylaw. We used the language we have presently in the bylaw speaks only to the fact that the town can, with the written permission of the landowner, plant in the first 20 feet of private land adjacent to the public way. It tends to be, they can plant a public tree in that area. It tends to be a more safe place, a more successful location for tree planting. And so it's useful to have that option. We, in the bylaw, only spoke to the ability for the town to plant there with owner permission, which is already a right that's available to the town through the state chapter 87 that the DPW is using for guidance right now. Planning board would like a little more expansion of that regarding what happens to the tree in terms of maintenance and ownership. We, as Anne has said, we're not keen on going into too much detail in the bylaw. We think it's a new program. It needs to work itself out through implementation. But if Board of Public Works agrees with the planning board, certainly we can generally speak to the issue. I would recommend we generally speak to the issue, and using a fact sheet on setback trees that we've received from the Department of Conservation Resources. The model that Tim Barber and our subcommittee recommend is one used by the town of Concord. And as Anne says, there's a lot of detail to how to flesh out a planting trees, but at its core, this town of Concord model suggests that the working with the town, the landowner can choose a tree, probably from a recommended list that the town carries. They take on maintenance and stewardship responsibility. And after 2 years, it becomes a private tree. However, there is a responsibility, should the tree be removed, that they seek town permission for the removal. That is that's a hybrid to the public shade tree. But I think I agree with Tim that it's a good model to use, because if town resources are expended in buying the tree, planting the tree, providing the educational materials on how to maintain the tree, then the town does have some, then that gives the landowner some obligation to, if it needs to be removed for any reason, that they notify the town. I would recommend it go into the same review process that we lay out in the bylaw, which is that if it meets the definition of a hazardous tree, then the Board of Public Works would accept the removal of the tree. However, if it's hazardous tree but otherwise healthy, and you can be both, then there should be a replacement that comes into play. So we can, if you like that model of it becomes a private tree, but there's still an obligation to notify the town on its removal, then we could add, and I would recommend, general language that speaks to that process. This is, obviously we're trying to thread the needle between giving certainty to the planning board that that there becomes some private ownership, but there's also a responsibility to keep the town informed should there be removal. Other changes, there are no other real changes. I can say that the tree committee has really benefited, or the bylaw subcommittee really benefited from the input from the Board of Public Works and from Tim Barber in writing this bylaw. And if you want to go over any other aspects of this, we certainly can. But we think that, given, based on your opinion on how to handle setback trees, whether it's done through whether it's further explained in the bylaw or through a tree manual, we think we're ready to go to town meeting after we get town council approval and review. Any
Tim, what do you
questions? Any comments?
Rob, you're on mute. Sorry.
I think we're hoping that you're going to approve the tree bylaw, and we would be very happy in the future if you co-sponsor it. If, again, now we aren't going to town meeting until the fall, but where are you at with this, Tim?
So it gives us a little time. So funding is always a question. So I had placed $20,000 in the budget for a tree planting, removal, maintenance for the additional work in the bylaw.
Great.
So if that gets approved, then we're in better shape. And then also, and I mentioned this before, we don't really have a dedicated tree forestry department. We have laborers that work on the tree truck that do this work, and they're very good and experienced. And we have a bucket truck as well, and they run the chipper. But unfortunately, they're laborers, so if they need to go be pulled to another job, whether it's construction or solid waste and recycling, then they are, and we don't have that constant tree crew. So I think we're looking at developing that so we can we can have that dedicated tree crew.
That'd be wonderful.
All right, Mike, do you have any comments?
No, I'll wait to see what comments are made by town council, and I'm glad to see that, a bylaw is gonna be, considered by town meeting. It's very unfortunate when you see public shade trees that for various reasons have to be removed, but we don't have any kind of replacement for them. I mean, many communities will do a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 replacement on a public shade tree that's been removed, and I think we're long overdue for that.
Also, I can add that, working with Eversource, they're looking at doing some additional removals in some location. Mainly on Tucker Road, we have a lot of ash trees that are in poor condition due to the ash boring beetle. So they're going to be removing a number of trees and clearing under the lines. But I did, even with Eversource, I discussed some replanting efforts, and they agreed to plant some additional trees on part of the road, and then on the section of road where some of the large ash trees are. There's not really a lot of room for trees, so they don't do well. So I think setback trees in that location might be a good option.
So then I have a question. Tim, do you have the ability to deal with setback trees today if Eversource provides the funding and the means to do it?
I believe they're allowed through Chapter 87, so there's some language in there. But the responsibilities aren't laid out.
But it seems to me, given that there is some permissive ability to do it, it would be worth approaching the landowners and seeing if they, for this particular narrow period of time before there's a bylaw,
Sure.
See what you can do.
Absolutely.
I had a couple of observations on the bylaw. First, I think it would be good to have the whole board available to discuss support. So, and if we have time, then I think it's good to continue or to bring this item back, Tim, when we're all going to be here. The other thing is, I understand the challenge of building a set of explicit and detailed rules before you have a lot of experience in how that system's going to work. So I can see why you might want to keep it fairly open, but given the way that the bylaw is adopted through town meeting, I think it would be good to have as much of this written down and as appropriate in the bylaw. That is the issue of setback trees and the responsibility and how that's all going to work. Because if it isn't explicit, then it's very possible that it will become an item that somebody decides to challenge in town meeting, and that would be unfortunate given the all work that's done and the potential benefit of this program. So that's my only comment at this point. So
Can I add one thing?
yes, please.
There really are two scenarios to keep, and we'll do each of those on paper. One is Tim doing the setback tree. The other is implementing a setback tree through Adopt a Tree program, which we have not begun yet. But Andrea and I will hash this out more and put it on paper. It gets a little confusing, but there are two different things going on with setback trees.
Yeah, I think I like the notion of an Adopt a Tree program where you get the landowners to accept and take full responsibility. I think if I had an opportunity and we're living in the right situation, I would welcome the ability for an Adopt a Tree, but we're not exactly on the road, so.
You're about to have 5 new adopted trees at Town Hall in 2 weeks.
I was just gonna mention that. Good.
And
Yeah.
Tim, thanks for taking those things out. This is part of 2 new trees went in last fall, and now we're about to plant 5 others. This is all thanks to a resident who gave us $5,000. MON is going to be doing those plantings. Tim took the old tree down and moved the flag box. Where'd the flag box go?
So currently, it's temporarily located inside of Town Hall. There's a new box, and that eventually will come back out to be more accessible.
Are you going to be able to grind the stumps too?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
great.
As far as making more general suggestions, I think if you're going to be doing this kind of work, it would be smart to bring Dartmouth Weekly into the conversation and generate some positive coverage as the work is being done, so that as people drive by, they understand what's happening.
Well, we are, once they're planted, I'm going to try and quickly pull together sort of a May Day or a late Arbor Day there in May. And get the staff in Town Hall downstairs, hopefully outside for about a half an hour to read poems and get Dartmouth Week there.
I guess I'm even suggesting, as soon as you know when any work, outside work's gonna be done, you bring them in and explain what's happening, so as people see the changes, they understand the program, and you get some positive feedback on that up front.
Good thought.
Okay, anything else on this item? So Tim, you'll bring this back to us?
Absolutely.
Andrea, do you have any comments?
No, I just wanted to thank you very much for your continued support, and including with your new member. Welcome. And we'll draft some language, bring it forward before your next meeting. So no problems at all. I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate your support, and leave it at that. We can do adopt a tree within the current format. We don't have to,
Right.
the format of the bylaw, we don't have to change the language of the bylaw in order to do that, because there is the ability for a person to request a tree be planted. A public shade tree be planted. So we've created the bylaw to have this kind of skeleton for all these different things to be involved without calling them a specific program. Again, just to give Tim flexibility going forward in the future.
Okay.
So we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Bye,
right.
Tim.
You're welcome.
Our next item is under new business. Tim, approval of an I&I Phase 2 study.
Yes, so we, I want to give, Page and Sawyer has completed the first phase of our II study. And we're planning to move forward with phase 2. Phase 2 includes field investigation, floor isolation of meter sheds, F4, F5, S7, and F8. I'm going to share my screen to show you where those locations are. I'm having a freeze up of my PDF program here. There we go. Here we go. Here. Okay, can you see the map?
Yes.
Okay, so if you look, F4 is down here in any of these pink shaded areas, ranked high in II, and the yellower areas are medium, and the green areas ranked low. So we chose to move forward with F4 here, F5, which is the Bliss Corner area, and some of our sewer infrastructure that actually flows into New Bedford, and then F7 and F8 over here. So we're looking to move forward with those areas.
Tim, that F4 area is your main trunk line from North Dartmouth down to the treatment plant, correct?
Correct. Yes. Yep. In the easement, some easement work there.
That area is pretty swampy. I'm sure you got a lot of intrusion there.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking to find out. What the causes are, and we've gone through some of these areas in the past, and some of the pictures I showed you of the II. We've increased the height of the. We maintain the easements, cut them back, increase the height of the manhole structure, put seal tight covers and some boots inside to stop any of the inflow and infiltration from the manhole structures themselves. But there might be other. There may be, we might have some pumps connected. There might be pipe issues with some infiltration. So we're looking to get more information on that so we can recommend some mitigation for that. So the cost proposal for this agreement to move forward is $101,453.
And this is in the budget for this year?
Yes, so as part of our II program, I typically ask for funding through CIP annually, and any sewer connections in town also implement an II fee, which is paid into that account as well. So we currently do have funding.
Right. And you're asking us to approve this?
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
I would make a motion that we approve the I Phase 2 study and award the contract to Hazen and Sawyer for $101,000.
$453.
Motion from Mr. Gagne to approve. Chair seconds the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the item is approved. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Item number B is approval water emergency capital account funds.
So through our operating budget, we have an emergency capital account for $50,000. We've used in the past. This year, due to multiple wells being offline for long periods of time, a good percentage of the year due to mechanical and electrical failures from multiple storms, we've overspent our budget from New Bedford, purchasing water from New Bedford. We're lucky to have the redundancy, so we have the option to purchase additional water, but it comes with a high cost. So I'm requesting that we approve the use of this water emergency capital account, $50,000.
Any questions? Board members?
No questions.
Right, do I have a motion?
I would make a motion that we transfer from the water emergency capital accounts fund the sum of $50,000 to offset water purchase costs due to technical and mechanical issues in our system.
I have a motion to approve by Mr. Gagne. The chair seconds the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the item is approved. Next item is approval of a new utility layer LER Incorporated.
Yes. So LER has been in business for 34 years. and they recently submitted an application for approval as a utility layer. They also submitted references from Fairhaven, Acushnet, and Mattapoisett for water and sewer work completed in those municipalities with good reference. I recommend the board approve LER as a licensed drain layer in Dartmouth.
Board members, any questions?
No,
Do I have a motion?
I would make a motion that we approve the utility drain layer, utility layer permit and license for LER Incorporated.
I have a motion to approve from Mr. Gagne. Chair seconds the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Chair votes yes. Item is approved. Next item is a discussion of US EPA and Mass DEP Emerging Contaminants Grant Program award.
Yes, so the DEP has awarded the town with the water division with $100,000 grant towards continuing sampling, analyzing samples, as well as developing conceptual design and cost estimates of proposed mitigation for these contaminants. Specifically, our scope included PFAS. So we're working with Weston and Sampson through an article through the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund, but this grant will supplement those costs, and we can continue our work on the sampling. The sampling is almost done, and I mentioned earlier that the sampling itself was funded through Bristol County ARPA, and the Enterprise Fund funded the analysis and reporting through Weston and Sampson.
Right, so I have a couple of questions. Tim, what is the requirement for match and how is that being handled?
Steve Sullivan, you still online? Or Tony?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you know the match percentage? If there is a match on that DC grant,
I don't believe
DCSDC, I don't believe there's a match.
I don't believe there's a match at all. I don't
It's
believe
a
there's a match.
it's a $100,000 grant.
Yep.
Towards the scope.
All right, and then the ARPA funding, are you comfortable that that cannot be clawed back?
I'm not 100% certain with federal funding. So
Right.
especially in these times, they will probably take back any unused funding that wasn't awarded. Hopefully they don't, try to take back funding that's been used.
So that but they would, because of the way this is structured, they'd have to be working through the county, is that correct? Because these funds come, federal grants that we have been working with the county to disperse.
So this grant is through the EPA. It's not through the county. The county had awarded our initial sampling process. They had initially granted funds towards that sampling process, but then we had applied for this the emergency contaminants grant and was awarded. So that they're completely separate funds.
So is it possible then to be certain that we've expended all of the EPA money before we get to the DEP money?
What DEP money?
The EPA money?
Yeah.
The grant from EPA?
Yeah, we can work on expending this. I think we expend this funding, and rather than expend any of our own article money.
Right.
Ahead, and then once that's exhausted, we can go back to expending our money, but it will supplement our funding currently for this project.
Yeah, in this kind of an environment, I think it's smart to spend the federal dollars first.
Yeah, and that's usually how we operate, you know.
Okay.
If we can spend their money first, we spend it.
Right. Do you require an action on this, Tim?
No, it's just discussion to just inform the board of the award and that we're using it towards our PFAS program.
Any questions from the board?
No,
All right, thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Next item is approval of construction specifications, construction exit detail. Tim?
Right, our existing construction specifications that's approved by the Board of Public Works includes a construction exit detail. Mainly, it's large scale for commercial. It was the only construction exit detail that we included for erosion control on construction sites, where we had, we've had some comments regarding the requirement and a request to add a residential detail size for residential construction. So this detail is a more suitable for residential construction exit detail to provide erosion control and sediment control from tracking out into the road during residential construction.
What kind of applicability would there be for smaller jobs?
Either one of these details are applicable to be sized per job. So, different size jobs, different terrain, different locations, always require, amendment of whether it's a construction entrance or erosion control on a site. So it's typically job specific, but this gives a kind of a smaller scale for a residential site, and then it can be amended upon that as well.
Mr. Gagne, you got any questions?
I would only make a comment, and I'm glad to see that they have an application for smaller sites, because one thing I've seen is that large cement trucks that are bringing to pour foundations without any kind of intermediary material between our road surface and on their site is causing deterioration of the blacktop where those trucks enter and exit because of their weight. So I'm glad to see that they're gonna address that issue. I think we have enough to deal with the cost of road improvements without exacerbating situations that are not under our control.
Absolutely. It protects the edge of the road where that stone entrance will meet the pavement, and also remove some of the soil and the mud from these heavy duty vehicles that are dragging it out into the road, and then it ends up flowing into our drainage system.
Yep. Good, glad.
So Tim, is there a provision that if the construction job is relatively small, or if there are site constraints, that the dimensions can be modified?
Absolutely, and we work with every contractor and developer of these sites to they just basically have to do the best that they can that's feasible for that site.
All right. And you need approval, is that correct?
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
I would make a motion that we approve the new construction specifications relating to construction exit and entrance details.
I have a motion to approve by Mr. Gagne. The chair seconds the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the item is approved. Next item is approval of VHB Crossroad Improvements Contract Amendment.
So before we move forward, I just wanted to make one statement that so now this will be posted at the town clerk's office for up to 10 days to allow public notification, and then it'll become part of the specifications after that period.
Good.
Next item, so VHB Crossroad Improvements Contract Amendment. So this project It's currently at the 25% design stage. I showed the 25% design plans in my CIP presentation. We've gone through the design public hearing, responded to comments, and this next phase in this agreement will take us through the 75% submission. It includes utility coordination, cross-section design, construction plans, grading, drainage, stormwater design, traffic management control, and resolution to any comments, including Mass DOT comments, as well as the preliminary right-of-way plans. This amendment will be at $148,100.
Any questions, board members?
Oh,
Tim, this is in the budget?
Yes, yeah, we'll use our road maintenance funding.
And the amendment is because we're moving from one phase of design to the next phase, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion for approval?
I would make a motion, we approve the contract amendment to VHB for crossroad improvements in the sum of $148,100.
I have a motion to approve by Mr. Gagne. Chair seconds the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, item is approved. Next on the agenda are committee updates. Tim, do you have anything for us?
Other than my CIPC committee presentation and the Dartmouth Street Committee presentation, and the water quality committee meeting is scheduled for April 4th. That's all I have currently.
All right, and so we're going to work on having a discussion of the scope of the CWMP in that water quality meeting. So maybe you and I can talk a little bit about how we handle that. I am a little sensitive to releasing draft work from to the public because depending on the precedent, sometimes if you're working on something that's controversial and you need time and effort to come up with different either different approaches or different explanations of things, the release of draft materials can be problematic. So I'm definitely sensitive to that. So I'd like to get it. So we have the discussion at the appropriate level of detail, but we allow the staff to continue to work on the scope of this project. All right. Any other committee updates? All right. Hearing none. Director update.
All right, so we were awarded this past week for a Chapter 90 Fair Share program for our roads maintenance. Unfortunately, this year the federal funding to the state for road maintenance was 45 million as opposed to last year's over 100 million or 100 million. So our share last year was 619,000. This year it's $260,140. So we'll use that for some of our road maintenance this year in combination with any Chapter 90 funding that's also awarded, hopefully in the near future.
That's very unfortunate news because with the cost of the materials by doing some quick math here, you almost have almost a 60% cut in that funding. And with the length of roads that you have in Dartmouth kind of hit, that's extremely unfortunate.
It is. Yep. It is a big hit. You know, that fair share funding allowed us to reconstruct or repave, you know, a good section of Russell Mills Road last year, which which added to our our road maintenance, and the 60% hit goes along with our 60% hit on increase of asphalt pricing as well. So it, pulling it all directions. So, but we'll work with our our current funding and try to stretch out as much as we can.
Thank you.
All right.
Class, also, sorry, just an update on our class and classification and compensation study, just updating the board. I know last meeting, Mr. Gagne requested a letter to the administration that we request ample time to review all documents for the reclassification, including the job description review and rewriting. And this letter was submitted to the town administrator and CC to the Board of Public Works, as well as all the union representation.
That's very important, Tim. That's very important that the department heads down to individual foremen and supervisors that oversee employees get the details correct in those job classifications and compensation schedules. Those things, as you can see, those job descriptions stay around for a very long time. And if you live with a problem for a very long time, it's going to cause you problems in hiring and retaining the skill sets that you need for those particular jobs. So I'm glad you took care of that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike, I have to agree with you really strongly. Anecdotally, when I was appointed to this board, I was given a tour by the former Public Works Director. And after welcomingly to the board, I think the second thing he said to me was that the last job classification had been done in a way that had caused problems and would continue to cause problems. And I can't tell you how right he was, unfortunately. And I think it's worth a great deal of effort to get it right this time by all levels, from our level all the way down, as you say, Mike, to the shop foreman.
And it's particularly difficult for the administrators who run those divisions and the DPW department, because it becomes a workaround issue that you'll live with for a long time, and it's better to get it straight from the very beginning.
Absolutely. Makes it easier for everybody.
Yep.
And it also allows you to get better people into the organization, which is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the big objectives is to make it a good place to work. And part of that is the people that are part of it. So,
Yep.
Right.
Good.
Okay, with that, that's the end of our regular agenda.
I still have, Mr. Chairman, I still have a
Oh,
couple updates, sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries. We received a letter this week from DEP. And the letters went out throughout the Commonwealth regarding the drought situation. We're still considered that this area is in a significant drought. Other areas of Massachusetts are still in a critical drought. Luckily, we're not in that section. We haven't had enough snow and rain throughout this year to compensate for the drought conditions late in the year last year. So, we'll be, restricting irrigation and outside watering again this year, and trying to keep an eye on and enforcement on that. The letters will be going out to the public.
Tim, from a slightly different perspective, since the town relies on well fields as its primary source, and my impression is that those well fields are relatively shallow, and therefore I would expect them to recover fairly quickly. Do you have a sense of the condition of those well fields right now? Are they lower significantly than we would expect?
I haven't seen or heard anything, and I know Tony or Steve have any comments on any levels in the well field.
Yeah, if you could just drop us a note and let us know what from your perspective the water supply situation is for the town. I realize that the drought has implications to agriculture and other kinds of water users, people with private wells, that kind of thing. But I'd like to know for this time of year, how we're doing the water levels in our well field.
So, just me going around to the different well fields, just the surfaces walking around them are very saturated, so I don't see any issues with our well fields.
And we've had good rain the last week, so let's hope that it keeps raining at night. An inch a night once a week is good.
Looks like this weekend we might get some as well, and unfortunately on the weekend, but we still need it, so I
Right.
can't complain. Next up, Smith Neck Road tank, request for proposal. We've reviewed in-house, so we're waiting for Ron to come back, and we'll meet with Ron to review, and go over our recommendations, for the proposal. Once that's done, the recommendation will go to the Assistant Town Administrator, and they'll be able to open the proposal, cost, and we can, look at possibly awarding that if the funding is available.
Right. So we'll see that next month. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Another, one last update, just inform the board that a 156 unit 40B multi-residential complex development has been submitted to the town. So we will be working on review and of the comprehensive permit and review of the plans submitted. On our end, I'll also be, requiring a full evaluation from that's on Old Westport Road, the old Pine Hill Sand and Gravel site. So that will require an evaluation of the sewer collection system and treatment, as well as the effects on it from the flows from this development, as well as the water distribution system.
Tim, is there anything about that site that would raise concerns about residential development, given its past history?
I think there is some history there that will be taken into consideration through the comprehensive permit through all of the agencies in town.
Who looks at the history as through the lens of potential contamination?
Board of Health, Town Council, admin.
Any other comments? Mr. Gagne, anything else?
Quick question, Tim. The new construction on Dartmouth Street, is that housing units they're building there?
Yeah, so it's kind of the cart before the horse on that, the work they're doing, but we haven't approved any connections for water and sewer because the evaluation is still underway. They've contracted with Stantec to evaluate the sewer collection system and treatment. And we've had some communication through us and Stantec and their engineer, and we're waiting on the final report for that so we can decide how to issue and move forward.
Do they have a comp permit?
I haven't seen a comp permit on that. And I know it's not a 40B. It's a over 55 residential.
How many units?
I think it's 89.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
I think they were originally trying for 100 units. They had to reduce it due to the size of the property, I believe.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So lastly, just kind of an update on vacancies. We had 18 vacancies in the DPW. We did hire a new senior principal clerk, as Rosemary was a senior principal clerk and moved into Sonia's position as the admin clerk. And then hit the ground running. We hired Lauren Williams as our new senior principal clerk, and she seems to be fitting in well. And we also hired a new associate engineer to replace. We had two engineers that had vacated the engineering division in the last 6 months, and So this engineer is planned to start on Monday. So it brings us down to 16. And we know Jennifer will be leaving us, I believe, at the end of April. So we're reviewing resumes to fill this position as well. We haven't seen anything much. Oh, we also, I'm sorry, we interviewed, and we're also working on hiring an additional HMEO applicant for a driver. So he should also be starting in the near future. He just wanted to give ample notice to his current employer. So we look forward to bringing him on board as well. And we're working on hiring a bridge tender. Also, based on staffing and employment, I had worked with Mass DOT pre-apprenticeship program. They had asked me to speak at a Diamond Vogue about a month ago. I went back the week after as well and spoke to students about working for municipalities, getting licensed, if and whether it's CDL, hoisting license, water and sewer licenses. We were asked again by Mass DOT to come speak to the students at New Bedford Vocational. That was actually scheduled for tomorrow, but unfortunately they had to cancel this week, and I'm waiting for them to reschedule so I can speak to the students in New Bedford Vocs based on the same level, licensing and working for municipality. Also include our seasonal opportunities and internship programs to bring any students who are interested on board. And the state also pays for these internships through the pre-apprenticeship program, which is good, and they also help them with their licensing. Rob, you're muted.
Sounds like a great way to help with the hiring.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Tim?
And that is all I have for today.
All right. With that, we will conclude the regular session of the Board of Public Works meeting, and we will adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussion of the director contract negotiation process. We will reconvene in regular session to adjourn the regular session. So we will come back briefly to adjourn the regular session meeting. So I'd like a motion to, I'm sorry, I'm losing the word, enter executive session.
I would make a motion that we enter into executive session for the purposes of contract negotiation purposes with the DP director, and that we will reconvene into open session at the completion of that executive session.
I had a motion by Mr. Gagne. The chair seconds the motion. So we will now go in. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Chairman votes yes. So we will now enter executive session.
Thank you.
Hello, folks. This is John Silva from DCTV. I'll be creating a breakout room and adding Robert, Tim, Mike. I'll be adding the three of you to that breakout room. When you're finished to rejoin the meeting, you can leave just the breakout room and it'll return you to this Zoom room here. And then we can continue and adjourn the meeting, or if there's any other business after executive session.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, would we like to include Jen to take any minutes or discussion?
Mr. Gagne, are you, do you want to have Jen Kite participate to take minutes?
Yes, that would be appropriate. Thank you.
All
I'll
right.
add Jen as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we are out of executive session and we're going to reconvene the regular session of the Board of Public Works. Do I have a motion to reconvene?
I make the motion, we reconvene into open session, Board of Public Works.
Motion by Mr. Gagne, Board Chair seconds. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
Yes,
Chair votes yes. Motion is approved. All right, so we have, with no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the Public Works Board meeting of March 27, 2025.
I would make a motion that we adjourn the Board of Public Works meeting for March 27th, 2025.
Mr. Gagne has made a motion. The board seconds the motion. Mr. Gagne, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Board votes yes. We are adjourned. Thank you all for your time.
Thank
made
you.
it. You made it through the meeting without losing your voice.
Yeah, right. Well,
I hope you feel better there, Ron.
yeah, me too. Believe me. Thank you all for your patience.
Absolutely. Get some rest and hope you feel better.
Right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.